Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna continue working on the chapter 4, which is 4D. Okay, 4D is typically the most important one, and you have to be familiar with the factor theorem, remainder theorem, and like the rational root theorem. Okay, and first, some important thing is what do we mean by quotient? What do we mean by remainder? Okay, this you have to know. And then once you know that, we need to know how to do the long division over here, okay? So make sure you guys understand this one and practice by yourselves, okay? Just imaginary there is invisible minus sign over here. So you need minus for at the same time, then to get the answers, okay? And let's keep going. So for this one, it's a bit tricky because we kind of miss one thing over here is, so we add 0 times x to the cube to make sure you can do one at a time from the fourth power, then to cube, to to quadratic, and to what we say is like linear and constant term, okay? And let's keep going. For this one, okay, you need to know how to use cas to help you to do the fractions, okay? And this is highly recommended when in exam 2, okay? You can use this one to do the proper fractions, okay? And this one is a bit tricky because you have to deal with like the fractions, but essentially the method is the same, and just be careful about the things, okay, about the coefficients. And another one is like synthetic divisions. This one some teachers prefer and will introduce to you guys, but personally I think this is quite limited because they only can do for the linear things, means divide by 2x or divide by 3x plus 5. But if when you divide by the nonlinear polynomial, again, you still need to do the long division. Okay, that's why I prefer you guys to stay with the long division things and make sure you can do it. Okay, and just another thing is make sure you know how to write the form. Okay, this is a quotient and this is a remainder. Okay, and remainder theorem and factor theorem, hopefully you guys notice and remember. So remainder theorem tells us if we divide by beta x plus alpha, the remainder we can directly plug negative alpha over beta to our equations, okay, to find the remainder. Sometimes you find this one is pretty hard to remember, and I can show you the way. So if you divide by any number or any polynomials like 2x plus 1, first step, just make 2x plus 1 equals 0. And second step, solve for x, which is negative half. So you third step, you plug negative half in. This is the remainder theorem. Okay, so you have to distinguish the difference between factor and solution. Okay, this is called factor, and this called solution. Okay, they are two distinct things, factor and solution. Okay, and again, remainder theorem and factor theorem, they are pretty similar. Factor theorem is if you plug any number in, it's 0, then this is a solution, and the corresponding x minus alpha is a factor. Okay. So given that x plus 1 is a factor and x minus 2 is a factor, so which means if I plug x equal negative 1 in this whole thing, I got 0. And if I plug x equal 2 into this whole thing, I got 0 again. Then since I got two unknowns, I can get two equations. Then I just solve them simultaneously. Okay. And final exam question, normally for the first part, they tell us, okay, please show that blah, 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 blah. So if show x plus 1 is a factor, which means you plug in x equal -1. So you always make x plus 1 equals 0. So you solve for x. This is the number we want to plug in the equation. That's the difference between factors and solutions, okay? After that, you can do the long division. If you don't want to do long division, I can show you equating coefficient way. So x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 must be equal to x plus 1 times something, right? So by inspection, we know it's x cubed, and we know this one is x, so it only can be x squared to make the right-hand side equal to the left-hand side, okay? And this 6 must come from this 1 times something, so you have to be positive 6. So the only difference we don't know is maybe like plus a times x. And we can use either this coefficient or this coefficient to determine the in front of the a, which is the coefficient for x. So let's just maybe do this x squared. So 4x squared must equal to x times x squared. No, x cubed, x times ax. Okay, ax squared. X times 6, no. But 1 times x squared, okay, plus x squared. Okay, 1 times ax and 1 times 6, no. So in here, we can clearly see that the a is -5. Okay? And this is sums and difference of cubics, so we should know this one. Okay? And the last thing, or the really annoying part, is like the rational root theorem. This one is if we fail to find any factors about factor theorem, so we have to use this one. And this one is normally applied for the highest coefficient, which is over here, is not 1. Okay? And they write this in the really annoying ways, so I will explain in this one. So for the rational root theorem, you always put this guy on the bottom and put 3 on the top. Okay? So essentially it's 2/3 plus minus and 2/1 plus minus. So you only need to talk about this. Okay? So always put the highest degree of polynomial, the coefficient on the bottom, which is on the denominator, and the constant term on the numerator. I mean, constant term means 3, so 3 can be 1 times 3. And if in here is 6, 6 can be 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. So essentially for this one, we have to convert into like 2 plus minus 1, 2 plus minus 6, 2 plus minus 2, and 2 plus minus 3, which all of this need to be here. Okay, this is a rational root theorem. Of course, rational root theorem just contain with factor theorems. And if the teacher gonna test you this one, just make sure you know how to do it, okay? Let's look at this one, same thing over here. So again, before using rational root theorem, we want to find the factor of the constant, so plus minus 1 or plus minus 5. You try, you realize none of them are equal, so you have to use rational root, put on 3 on the bottom, and you try plus minus 1 on the top, and 3 plus minus 5, okay? In here, of course, they know it's -5 on 3, but for most of the case, we don't know, so we have to try everything, okay? And this one is just like tedious, but if your teacher is gonna test you in the SAC, it's only available in exam 1, which means tag-free, because in tag-active, you can use what we said before, like the proper fractions to get the answers, okay? And let's keep going. This is rational root, and they write, unclearly, so normally just denominator is the highest degree of polynomial, the coefficient on the bottom, and the constant on the top, okay? For this guy, it's 1 and it's 30, so it's actually can get 130 and 2 3, 5, 6. So it's a lot. But normally we just try plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3. Okay, to get the first factor. And then use long division or use inspection to get what we want. Okay, other factors. And that's it. That's for the 4D. So remainder theorem and the factor theorem, you guys can remember them together. And for the rational root theorem, just remember always put this AN on the bottom and our A0 on the top. Okay, A0 can refer to any of the factors they have. If A0 is 4, you just put plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 4. Okay, hopefully this video clarifies some theorem for you guys to use, and make sure you do enough exercise for the vector theorem, remainder theorem, and long division, and the rational root theorem. Okay, and if you think my video is helpful, please subscribe and click the like button. And thanks for watching. See you guys for the next videos. Bye bye.